It was a steel giant, forged in fire and destined for legend. Her name was the USS Hornet, a symbol of courage that once ruled the Pacific skies. But in October 1942, amid the chaos of the Second World War, she vanished beneath the waves. For over 75 years, her resting place was nothing more than a whisper among sailors, a ghost story passed from one generation to the next. Yet when modern explorers finally uncovered her secret, what they found stunned the world. The Hornet was not gone, she was waiting. Frozen in time, silent, and hauntingly intact, a monument to every soul who never came home. The Hornet's story began in the dark days following Pearl Harbor. America was wounded, its pride shattered, and the Navy was desperate for a symbol, a strike that would turn despair into defiance. That symbol came in the form of the USS Hornet, CV-8, an Essex-class aircraft carrier born in Newport News, Virginia. She was sleek, powerful, and built for vengeance. When she sailed into the Pacific in early 1942, her crew couldn't have imagined that they were about to change the course of history. In April of that same year, the Hornet carried 16 B-25 bombers under the command of Lieutenant Colonel James Doolittle. Their mission? Strike the heart of Tokyo itself. The Doolittle Raid became one of the most daring operations in military history, a defiant roar across the Pacific that told the world America would not kneel. Though most of the planes never returned, and many men were captured or killed, the psychological blow to Japan was devastating. For the Hornet and her crew, it was only the beginning. The Hornet quickly earned her reputation as one of the most relentless warships afloat. She fought at Midway, the most decisive naval battle of the Pacific War, where American forces crippled Japan's carrier fleet. At Midway, the Hornet launched the planes that hunted down and destroyed enemy ships, cementing her role as both avenger and protector. But her glory came at a price. Every mission cost lives. Every victory came with a silent toll. Sailors who survived the bombings and fires often spoke of the eerie quiet that followed, the smell of smoke, the sound of the sea swallowing their fallen friends. Still, the Hornet pressed on. By October 1942, she was leading American forces in the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands. It was a brutal clash, bombs rained from the sky, Japanese planes dove in waves, and the Hornet became the enemy's prime target. Within minutes, she was engulfed in chaos. Bombs ripped through her deck. Torpedoes slammed into her hull. Fires spread faster than men could fight them. The crew refused to abandon her until there was no choice left. When the order finally came, some wept as they leapt into the water, watching the ship that had carried their hopes and their brothers slip away into the depths. The Hornet was gone. Lost to the Pacific. And for decades, no one knew exactly where she lay. The Pacific is vast, an endless graveyard of ships swallowed by time. For years, explorers and historians tried to locate the Hornet, but the ocean guards its secrets fiercely. War records were vague, sonar scans inconclusive, and every expedition ended in disappointment. Some said she had drifted miles from her last known position. Others believed she had disintegrated long ago, consumed by the deep. The truth seemed destined to remain a mystery. Until one man decided he couldn't accept that answer. Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft and lifelong ocean explorer, was known for his passion for history and technology. His research vessel, the Petrel, had already discovered several legendary wrecks, the USS Indianapolis, the USS Lexington, and others once thought lost forever. But for Allen, the Hornet was personal. In early 2019, his team began a meticulous search, cross-referencing wartime reports with modern oceanographic data. They studied Japanese and American records, matched explosion coordinates, and scanned a stretch of ocean 17,000 feet deep, a world of darkness where light has never touched metal. For weeks, they found nothing. Just cold silence. But then, deep on the seafloor, sonar screens began to flicker. Shadows turned into shapes. Shapes became structure. And then, unmistakable contours of a warship emerged. The cameras descended. The world held its breath. There she was, the USS Hornet, resting upright, her bow pointed proudly into the dark. Her flight deck, though battered by time, still bore the scars of battle. Anti-aircraft guns stood frozen in their final positions, as if her crew were still at their posts, waiting for orders that would never come. A jacket hung from a hatchway, untouched for over 70 years. A toothbrush lay beside a rusted sink. Every detail whispered the same truth: this was not just a shipwreck. It was a time capsule. A tomb. When the footage reached the surface, even the most seasoned historians were speechless. The ocean had preserved her like a monument to courage, untouched by human hands since that final day in 1942. Among those who watched the footage was Richard Nowatzki, one of the Hornet's last surviving crewmen. He was 95 years old when he saw his ship again for the first time in decades. "They found my home," he said softly. "I can still see where I stood when the bombs hit." For men like Nowatzki, the discovery was both healing and heartbreaking. Many of their friends never made it off the deck. To see the Hornet again was to relive those moments, the smoke, the screams, the heat of the flames. Yet, there was comfort too. Their ship had not vanished into nothingness. She was there, standing guard at the bottom of the Pacific, exactly as she had fallen, defiant to the end. The discovery of the Hornet wasn't just emotional, it was historical gold. The wreck confirmed details long debated by historians: the direction of her final drift, the damage patterns, even the sequence of the attack. Each artifact told a story. A twisted propeller revealed how the engines had failed. The holes along her hull mapped the torpedo strikes. Even the position of her aircraft launch system showed the exact moment she had tried, and failed, to save herself. But what fascinated researchers most was how alive the wreck seemed. Coral and sea life had claimed her decks, but her structure stood strong. After decades in the crushing black, she looked ready to sail again. It was a reminder of what the Hornet represented: strength, resilience, and endurance beyond the reach of time. Reaching the Hornet was no small feat. She lies more than 3 miles below the surface, in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Temperatures hover near freezing, pressure can crush steel, and light never penetrates that far. Every descent risked disaster: one mechanical fault, one loss of signal, and the submersible would be gone forever. The team relied on remote-controlled vehicles equipped with advanced sonar and cameras, navigating blind through black water until her silhouette emerged. That danger made the discovery even more awe-inspiring. Humanity had reached down into one of the most remote corners of the planet, and touched a piece of its own history. The Hornet is one of hundreds of ships lost during the Second World War, resting silently in what sailors call the ocean's graveyard. Each one carries stories of courage and tragedy. Yet the Hornet's rediscovery reignited global fascination with underwater archaeology and the fragile balance between exploration and respect. Because every wreck, especially one like the Hornet, is not just history, it is a grave. More than 140 men went down with her. For that reason, the site remains protected, untouched by scavengers or divers. It is a sacred place where the past must be left undisturbed. As one historian said after seeing the footage, the Hornet didn't sink, she simply went home. Standing above the deck on those video feeds, one can almost imagine the sound of boots striking steel, the roar of aircraft engines, the chaos of the final battle. It's as though time itself paused the moment she went under, preserving her spirit so that future generations would never forget. And that, perhaps, is the most haunting truth of all, that some stories refuse to end. They wait in the dark, patient and proud, until we are ready to listen. The USS Hornet's rediscovery has reshaped our understanding of naval history. She was more than a machine of war, she was a symbol of human determination. Her deck launched the first counterattack against an empire. Her crew fought with courage that defied impossible odds. And even in death, she continues to inspire those who seek to uncover the stories we once thought were lost. For the families of those who never came home, the Hornet's return offered something beyond science: closure. For the historians and explorers who found her, it proved that even in the deepest darkness, truth endures. But above all, the Hornet's story reminds us that history is not gone, it's merely hidden, waiting for the right moment to rise again. So the next time you look out over the ocean, remember, beneath those endless waves lie the ghosts of heroes, still standing watch, still guarding their secrets. And somewhere, deep beneath the Pacific, the Hornet remains, silent, proud, and eternal.